Every one of us at some point feels like life is spinning out of control, whether it's a lost job, a broken relationship, or just the chaotic pace of daily routines. These moments can leave us feeling helpless and overwhelmed. But what if I told you there's a way to not just survive these challenges, but to thrive amidst them? Today, we're going to dive deep into the wisdom of Seneca, an ancient philosopher who mastered the art of maintaining peace in a tumultuous world. His teachings on Stoicism aren't just philosophical musings. They are practical strategies that have empowered leaders, thinkers, and individuals through the ages and can empower us today. By the end of this video, you'll have a toolkit of Stoic principles to help you cultivate mental toughness and reclaim control over your emotions and reactions, no matter what life throws your way. Stick with me, and let's explore how these ancient secrets can be applied to modern life for a calmer, more centered existence. If you appreciate what we're doing here and want to support the channel, a simple, free favor I'll ask from you is to hit the subscribe button. It helps us keep bringing content like this to you. Also, I encourage you not to skip any part of the video. If you're here, you're not like the majority. You're someone who sees the value in diving deep. So consider yourself an exception. Number 1, focus on one activity at a time. There's an ancient piece of wisdom from Seneca that I want you to hold on to. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. In our modern world, where we're constantly bombarded with distractions, this simple yet profound statement is more relevant than ever. We live in a time where being busy is glorified, where we're expected to juggle multiple tasks, messages, and responsibilities all at once. Yet, despite our best efforts to multitask, many of us end up feeling less effective, more anxious, and ultimately unfulfilled. Seneca's words strike at the core of this problem. When we try to do everything, we end up doing nothing truly well. The result? Our attention is scattered and our energy is diluted. We're caught in a whirlwind of constant movement, but we never really arrive anywhere. This is the chaos we're trying to escape. In Stoic philosophy, the practice of focusing on one activity at a time is not just a productivity hack. It's a way of living with intention, a way of returning to the present moment with full clarity and purpose. Imagine this for a moment. What if, instead of rushing through your day trying to do it all, you chose to focus entirely on the task right in front of you? Whether it's working on a project, having a conversation, or simply enjoying a quiet moment, you give it your undivided attention. This is not only about getting more done, it's about creating space for something deeper, a sense of pride and accomplishment in the quality of what you produce, rather than the quantity. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, echoed this very sentiment when he said, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions." Imagine the kind of impact we could make if we truly gave ourselves to the present moment with the seriousness and care it deserves. It's not just about being efficient. It's about living with a deep sense of purpose in everything we do. This approach, this singular focus, isn't just a way to improve productivity. It's a method of personal transformation. When we give ourselves fully to the task at hand, we are practicing mindfulness in its purest form. We can immerse ourselves in our work, in our relationships, and in our moments of rest, fully engaged and fully alive. The deep work we create when we give our best effort doesn't just benefit us, it echoes outward, enriching everything we touch. Plato, that great philosopher, would likely argue that this focused approach allows us to access a higher level of beauty and truth in our work. It's in the act of dedicating ourselves to one thing that we create something that aligns with the ideals of goodness and excellence. This kind of work speaks to our soul. It's the work that feels meaningful, the work that stays with us long after the task is complete. On a psychological level, the benefits of focusing on one activity are immense. Our brains are wired for focus, not fragmentation. When we multitask, we overload our cognitive capacity, leading to stress, mistakes, and burnout. Focusing on a single task reduces the mental clutter, allowing us to make better decisions and approach challenges with a clearer mind. It's not just about being more efficient, it's about cultivating peace within our minds. Aristotle, another towering figure of philosophy, would likely see this as a practice in the development of virtues, particularly temperance. By focusing on one thing, we learn to regulate our impulses and resist the urge for immediate gratification. We practice self-control, which is at the heart of Stoicism and the development of a virtuous character. We learn to resist distractions, to push away the noise, and to center ourselves on what truly matters. Socrates, with his method of deep inquiry, showed us the power of intense focus. His dialogues weren't about skimming the surface of topics. They were about diving deep into a subject, engaging with it fully and without distraction. This commitment to single-minded inquiry is exactly what we can bring to our own lives. When we dedicate ourselves to the present, when we focus fully on one task, we begin to transform not only the quality of our work, but the very essence of who we are. So, why should we adopt this Stoic principle of focusing on one activity at a time? Because it rejects the chaos of modern life. It challenges the idea that doing more makes us better. It invites us into a life that is deliberate, intentional, and deeply fulfilling. In focusing on one thing at a time, we reclaim our time, our energy, and our peace of mind. We step out of the whirlwind and into a life that is purposeful and grounded, and the rewards are tangible. Not only do our results improve, but we begin to feel a shift in our overall well-being. Our minds are calmer, our relationships are more present, our lives are more meaningful. We begin to experience a sense of accomplishment that isn't tied to how many things we've done, but to how deeply we've engaged with each one. In the end, this is the true power of focusing on one activity at a time. It's not just about doing more, it's about becoming more. And as we practice this, we might just find that life itself becomes a little bit more beautiful, more peaceful, and more worth living. Number 2. Practice philosophy to control your impulses. Seneca's insight, "All the greatest torments are the result of an undisciplined mind," reveals a profound truth about human nature. Our unchecked impulses can be the source of immense emotional turmoil and suffering. Stoicism, which emphasizes the importance of self-control and rational thinking, provides us with a framework to address this challenge. Rather than suppressing our emotions, which is neither healthy nor sustainable, Stoicism teaches us to understand and manage them. The process of managing our impulses begins with self-awareness. Epicurus, another Stoic philosopher, famously said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This statement highlights the necessity of self-mastery in achieving true freedom and happiness. By becoming more aware of our impulses and the triggers that set them off, we are better equipped to handle them rationally. This doesn't mean denying our feelings, but understanding them deeply enough so that we can respond in ways that align with our long-term goals and values. In the realm of philosophy, Aristotle also spoke about the importance of moderating our impulses through the development of virtues. He believed that virtue lies in finding the balance between excess and deficiency, a concept known as the golden mean. For instance, courage is the mean between recklessness and cowardice. Applying this to impulse control, we seek to find a balance between spontaneous reactions and complete inaction. aiming for thoughtful, deliberate responses that reflect our best selves. Moreover, practicing philosophy as a guide to controlling our impulses involves cultivating rational thought as a habit. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of aligning thoughts with rational and virtuous principles. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This perspective encourages us to focus on our internal responses rather than external provocations, thereby gaining greater control over our impulses. By critically examining our impulses with the aid of philosophical wisdom, we can begin to make choices that are not dictated by fleeting emotions, but are the result of careful thought and reflection. This practice not only strengthens our mental fortitude, but also helps us live more harmoniously with our values. It leads to a life where decisions are made not in the heat of the moment, but with a clear, composed mind. The Stoic approach to impulse control is about cultivating an inner dialogue that constantly questions and assesses our instinctive reactions. It is about making philosophy not just a subject we study, but a way we live our lives, allowing us to rise above immediate gratifications and achieve a deeper sense of satisfaction and purpose. This disciplined approach to managing impulses is not just about avoiding emotional pain, it's about forging a path to a more thoughtful, fulfilling life. Number 3, stay prepared. Seneca, who is all about being prepared, famously said, "Rehearse them in your mind. Exile, torture, war, shipwreck, all the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes." This advice might sound a bit dramatic at first. After all, not all of us are navigating the high seas or entering battle. But what Seneca is getting at here is the concept of mental preparation for life's inevitable challenges, a cornerstone of Stoic resilience. Stoicism teaches us to anticipate and mentally rehearse for the worst, not to fill us with dread, but to diminish the shock and pain when difficulties do occur. This practice is known as premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. It's about visualizing the most challenging scenarios, not to worry obsessively, but to be emotionally and mentally equipped when life throws its curveballs. Think about it this way. Athletes practice under tough conditions to prepare for the strain of actual competition. Similarly, by mentally rehearsing challenging situations, we train our minds to handle stress and face it with less panic and more poise. This Stoic practice helps us appreciate our current state. When we realize how much worse things could be, our everyday problems seem less overwhelming. Applying this Stoic principle doesn't mean living in constant anxiety about what could go wrong. Rather, it's about having a realistic acknowledgement of potential negative outcomes. For example, if you're worried about job security, instead of spiraling into fear, you could start preparing by updating your resume, enhancing your skills, or even exploring alternate career paths. This way, if the worst were to happen, you're not caught off guard and are in a better position to handle the situation. Moreover, this principle extends beyond personal crises. It's about maintaining a level of readiness for any significant changes in our lives, from financial instability to personal loss. By staying prepared, we not only shield ourselves from the initial shock, but also quicken our recovery and adjustment periods. We become less reactive and more responsive, a subtle but powerful shift in handling life's uncertainties. Seneca's counsel helps us forge a mindset where we're not overwhelmed by adversity, but are fortified against it. This mental readiness is not about expecting the worst, but about being prepared to deal with any situation, thereby enhancing our resilience and overall mental toughness. Through this Stoic lens, we see not just the potential for loss or hardship, but also the opportunity for growth and renewal in every challenge. Number 4, voluntarily embrace hardships. Another profound insight from Seneca is that difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. This idea is at the heart of Stoicism and speaks to a practice that can seem counterintuitive at first, voluntarily embracing hardships. It's about deliberately choosing to experience discomfort, not as a form of punishment, but as a way to fortify our mental resilience and expand our capacity to handle life's inevitable challenges. Think about what it means to voluntarily embrace hardships. It's like an athlete who trains under harsh conditions to prepare for a competition. The athlete understands that by pushing the limits in a controlled environment, they're better prepared for the stresses of the actual event. Similarly, by choosing to face difficulties head-on, whether that's taking on a challenging project at work, speaking up in public, or even opting to live more simply, we enhance our mental toughness and adaptability. Seneca's approach teaches us that when we step out of our comfort zones on purpose, we're not just testing our limits, we're expanding them. For example, if you dread public speaking, regularly putting yourself in situations where you must speak in front of others can transform your fear into a skill over time. What once felt insurmountable becomes manageable and eventually comfortable. This Stoic practice is not about seeking out suffering for its own sake, but about recognizing that growth often comes from discomfort. Embracing voluntary hardships also means resetting our comfort thresholds. In a world that often prioritizes comfort and ease, choosing the harder path can seem radical. But Stoicism invites us to rethink what true comfort is. Is it merely the absence of discomfort, or is it the presence of inner strength and peace that comes from knowing we can handle whatever comes our way? By integrating this Stoic principle into our lives, we also learn to appreciate our current circumstances more. When we know we can endure more, we can enjoy the simple pleasures of life with greater contentment. It's about building a life not on the avoidance of hardship, but on the foundation of resilience. This doesn't mean we seek out suffering, but when hardship does come, we view it as an opportunity to practice our Stoic skills. In embracing voluntary hardships, we also foster a deep sense of self-efficacy. We prove to ourselves that we are capable of overcoming obstacles, which in turn builds self-confidence. Each challenge we face and overcome is a reminder that we are stronger than we might have believed. So let's take a page from Seneca's book and challenge ourselves to step into the arena of voluntary hardship. It's there that we'll find not just challenges, but the keys to a more resilient and fulfilling life. Number 5. Avoid self-victimization. Seneca's wise observation that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality serves as a powerful reminder that our greatest source of suffering is often not the events themselves, but the way we interpret them. Our minds are expert storytellers, and when things don't go as planned, it's all too easy to become the victim of our own thoughts. We tell ourselves narratives of unfairness, injustice, and helplessness, which can trap us in a cycle of self-pity. Yet, Stoicism teaches us that this perception is the root cause of our suffering, and it's in our power to change it. Consider how easy it is to fall into the mindset that life is happening to us, forces beyond our control shaping our every experience. In this frame of mind, we begin to see ourselves as helpless, passive observers of our lives rather than active participants. This victim mentality can be incredibly disempowering. When we see ourselves as victims, we give away our agency. We place the responsibility for our happiness, success, and well-being on external factors, relinquishing our control. But Stoicism offers us a different path, one where we reclaim our power by shifting the way we respond to life's challenges. We are reminded that we have the choice to transform every obstacle into an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. Let's think about how this works in real life. Imagine you didn't get a promotion at work, a setback that may feel devastating. It's easy to feel hurt, rejected, and maybe even discriminated against. Your mind might begin to race with all the reasons why this happened. I wasn't good enough. I'm overlooked. I'm not getting the opportunities I deserve. These are all valid emotions, and it's important to acknowledge them. But this is where Stoicism invites us to shift our perspective. Instead of immediately succumbing to feelings of injustice, Stoicism challenges us to pause, reflect, and ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What actions can I take to improve my situation? By reframing the situation, we reclaim our agency. Perhaps the feedback we didn't receive can be sought out, leading to growth in areas we hadn't considered. Or maybe this setback provides the clarity we need to reassess our career trajectory and explore new opportunities that align more closely with our true goals. The Stoic practice isn't about ignoring or minimizing the emotional pain, but rather shifting from a passive, victimized state to an active one, where we take responsibility for how we respond. This shift empowers us to rise above the challenge and approach life with a mindset that seeks to learn, adapt, and grow, rather than simply react. Avoiding self-victimization isn't about denying the reality of hardship or pretending everything is fine when it's not. Life is difficult and suffering is inevitable. But Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control the events that happen to us, we can always control how we respond to them. The freedom we gain from this realization is liberating. Instead of being at the mercy of the world, we become the captains of our own ships. We understand that our reactions, perceptions, and choices shape our reality more than any external event ever could. When we shift from viewing ourselves as victims to seeing ourselves as active participants in our lives, something profound happens. We begin to see every setback, every disappointment, every difficulty, not as a personal attack, but as an opportunity to practice virtue, resilience, and wisdom. The Stoic path is not about avoiding hardship, but learning how to face it with grace, courage, and insight. Every challenge becomes a canvas on which we can paint our response, one that reflects our values, our inner strength, and our commitment to becoming the best version of ourselves. Let's take another example. Imagine you're in a relationship and you feel that your partner isn't meeting your needs. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, they don't care about me, or they're not trying hard enough. These thoughts, while emotionally valid, have the potential to trap us in a cycle of resentment. But what if, instead of viewing the situation from a place of victimhood, we chose to ask ourselves, what can I do to improve the situation? How can I communicate my needs more clearly? What can I learn about myself from this experience? By asking these questions, we empower ourselves to take action, have difficult conversations, and ultimately grow, both individually and as a couple. This is the power of Stoicism in action, recognizing that we are not passive recipients of life's circumstances, but active creators of how we experience and respond to them. Instead of feeling like victims of fate, we step into the role of architects of our own lives. It's an invitation to stop asking, "Why me?" and to start asking, "What can I do with this? How can I use this challenge to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate?" This approach doesn't mean we ignore injustice or suffering. It means we choose to rise above them with dignity, strength, and a sense of agency. It means we refuse to let our circumstances define us. Instead, we define how we respond to them, how we shape our own character, and how we move forward with resilience. One of the most beautiful aspects of Stoicism is how it empowers us to stop blaming others or external circumstances for our unhappiness. By stepping out of the role of the victim, we become free to take full responsibility for our emotions, thoughts, and actions. We recognize that our happiness doesn't depend on anyone else, and neither does our sense of purpose or fulfillment. By embracing this mindset, we experience a deep sense of inner peace, knowing that we can withstand whatever challenges life throws our way. This Stoic practice also has profound effects on our relationships with others. When we stop seeing ourselves as victims, we create space for empathy and compassion. Instead of projecting our feelings of powerlessness onto others, we can relate to them with understanding, recognizing that everyone is facing their own struggles. We stop playing the blame game and start practicing mutual respect and gratitude. This shift not only transforms our personal relationships, but extends to the larger world around us, fostering a sense of connectedness and community. The freedom that comes from avoiding self-victimization is liberating. It is the freedom to live life on our terms, to engage with the world around us with integrity and purpose, and to create our own narrative. As we embrace this Stoic way of living, we free ourselves from the limitations imposed by self-pity and regret. We become the authors of our own story, choosing how we react, how we grow, and how we move forward, no matter what life throws our way. So, let's choose to rise above victimhood, not by denying our pain, but by transforming our pain into a source of strength, wisdom, and resilience. Let's refuse to allow life's challenges to define us, and instead see them as opportunities for growth and transformation. In this way, we become not just survivors of life's difficulties, but thrivers, building a life of purpose, peace, and personal fulfillment. By reframing our stories with strength, wisdom, and resilience, we embrace the Stoic path and step into a life of true empowerment. Number 6. Spend time in solitude. Seneca's advice to retire into yourself as much as possible is one of the most profound and essential principles in Stoic philosophy. At first glance, solitude may seem like a retreat into isolation, an avoidance of the world, or a form of escapism. But in the Stoic tradition, solitude is not about shutting oneself off from life. It's about learning how to truly engage with it on a deeper level. It is about creating a space for self-reflection, introspection, and self-awareness that allows us to cultivate a sense of inner peace and purpose amidst the chaos of the external world. In our fast-paced, hyper-connected society, it can feel impossible to find moments of stillness. We are constantly bombarded by noise, be it the relentless stream of notifications, the expectations of others, or the ever-present pressure to keep up with the pace of life. We are taught that to be valuable, we must be busy, productive, and socially engaged. Yet, in the midst of all this activity, we often lose sight of who we truly are. We become caught in a whirlwind of external influences, forgetting to pause and ask ourselves, what do I really want? Who am I beneath the noise and distractions? Solitude offers us the opportunity to answer these questions honestly and without distraction. Seneca's guidance is not a suggestion to live a life of loneliness or disconnection, but an invitation to retreat from the overwhelming external world to rediscover our inner truths. In solitude, we create a sacred space where we can focus solely on ourselves, our thoughts, and our feelings. It is in this quiet retreat that we can strip away the clutter of the world and uncover the essence of who we truly are. At first, the idea of spending time in solitude might seem daunting. In a world that prizes constant engagement, solitude can feel uncomfortable, even unnatural. We may feel guilty for taking time away from others or worry that we're missing out on something important. But what Stoicism teaches us is that solitude is not about escaping life. It is about engaging with it in a way that is more intentional and meaningful. It is through solitude that we can cultivate the inner peace and resilience needed to confront life's challenges with wisdom and clarity. Seneca believed that true solitude is a state of deep self-awareness. It is not merely the physical act of being alone, but the mental and emotional space we create within ourselves to reflect, analyze, and understand our inner workings. In solitude, we have the time and the mental clarity to examine our thoughts and feelings without the distractions of the outside world. We are free from judgment, expectations, and the noise of social media, which allows us to listen to our own inner voice, the voice that knows what is truly important to us. Solitude provides the space for self-reflection and growth. When we allow ourselves time to reflect, we gain a deeper understanding of our actions, motivations, and desires. This introspection is not always comfortable. It may force us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves, habits we want to change, fears we want to overcome, or areas where we may not be living in alignment with our values. Yet, it is precisely in this discomfort that growth occurs. Without solitude, we might remain unaware of the patterns in our lives that hold us back or prevent us from reaching our full potential. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic philosopher, frequently spoke about the importance of introspection and solitude. As an emperor, Marcus Aurelius faced constant pressure from the demands of his position, yet he often found solace in moments of reflection and solitude. His meditations, written during his quiet moments, were his way of retreating into himself to process his thoughts and strengthen his mind. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This statement underscores the profound peace that can be found in solitude. No matter how chaotic the world around us may be, we always have the ability to find calm within ourselves if we take the time to search for it. It's in solitude that we can detach from external events and focus on what truly matters. When we retreat into ourselves, we are able to separate our inner world from the outer circumstances that may seem overwhelming or distressing. Life's challenges can be much less daunting when we approach them from a place of inner strength and clarity. Instead of being consumed by stress or anxiety, we are able to respond with wisdom and purpose, rooted in the understanding that we are not at the mercy of external events. We have the power to control our reactions, and this is something that solitude helps us realize. Spending time alone also provides us with the opportunity to align our actions with our values. When we are constantly surrounded by other people and external pressures, it's easy to lose sight of what is truly important to us. We may make decisions based on what others expect, or what is most convenient in the moment. But in solitude, we are forced to reckon with our deepest desires and values. We can ask ourselves, am I living in accordance with my true self? Am I making choices that align with my purpose? Am I being authentic? Solitude allows us to answer these questions honestly and take intentional action to live a life that is congruent with our deepest principles. Aristotle also emphasized the importance of self-reflection in living a virtuous life. For Aristotle, the key to flourishing, what he called eudaimonia, was understanding oneself and living in accordance with reason. Solitude provides the space for this understanding to unfold. It is through introspection that we come to know what brings us true happiness, peace, and fulfillment. By examining our thoughts and emotions in solitude, we can develop the virtues necessary for a flourishing life. Epicurus, another philosopher who believed in the power of personal reflection, saw solitude as a means of fortifying the mind against adversity. He argued that through introspection and self-awareness, we can develop the resilience needed to endure life's hardships. Solitude, in his view, is a tool for strengthening our character and mental endurance, preparing us to face whatever challenges may come our way. Solitude also enables us to develop a greater sense of self-love and compassion. In a world that often prioritizes external validation and social approval, solitude teaches us to appreciate and nurture ourselves from within. When we spend time alone, we learn to care for our own well-being, to listen to our needs, and to honor our emotions. This self-compassion makes us more capable of showing up for others in a genuine and loving way. When we are at peace with ourselves, we are better able to extend that peace to those around us. Furthermore, solitude provides a deeper sense of gratitude and appreciation for our relationships. When we return to the world after a period of solitude, we often find that we engage with others more meaningfully. We are more patient, empathetic, and present in our interactions because we have taken the time to understand ourselves more fully. Solitude enriches our relationships because it allows us to approach them from a place of inner stability and clarity. So how can we begin to integrate more solitude into our lives? The key is to start small. You don't need to withdraw completely from the world, but carving out regular moments of solitude will provide you with the space to reconnect with yourself. Start with just 10 minutes each day, maybe in the morning before the world wakes up, or in the evening before bed. Use that time to reflect, meditate, or simply breathe deeply and clear your mind. Gradually you can increase this time, incorporating longer periods of reflection and quiet retreat into your routine. Incorporating solitude into your life doesn't mean rejecting the world. It means engaging with it more mindfully and with greater purpose. It is a way to strengthen your inner world so that you can face the outer world with greater resilience, clarity, and compassion. Solitude, when practiced intentionally, is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth, emotional healing, and the cultivation of peace.